Hey folks, Flo here at Scaling Up 2023. I'm here with Bliss Baker of Sussex Strategy. Why don't you give us a 30 seconds introduction?
Well, I'm the Vice Chair of Canada's top government relations firm called the Sussex Strategy Group. We do a lot of work in the bioeconomy space, the renewable space, several clients in that area. So we are very, very close to what's happening on the ground in Ottawa, provincially and federally across the country in this area.
So what is going on the ground, especially when it has to do with the bioeconomy?
Yeah.
We know this event aims to engage government, and it seems to be slowly but surely working.
You know, it's the million-dollar question. There's lots of promise in this sector and has been for many, many years. There's a lot of people here, investors, business people, entrepreneurs, trying to make a business in this space because they see the opportunity like we do, which is huge. Right? McKinsey puts it in the trillions of dollars. But it's tough because there's a policy environment that you have to live within and work within, and that policy environment isn't always conducive to growing a business in that space. But more importantly, we live north of the U.S. border, and the United States government has done a lot to put money into the bioeconomy, and it dwarfs what Canada is doing.
Yet Jim Lane of the Digest told me earlier that while Canada might look at the U.S. as the big brother, in terms of the feedstock, in other words, the biomass itself, Canada is the big brother in the room.
Jim's bang on, and Jim's been following the feedstock space for a long, long time, since I've known him. And we are blessed in this country with biomass, right? We have lots of it. And so I think it's incumbent upon us to take advantage of that. We have the biomass, but the U.S. is throwing trillions of dollars at the sector. So it's not that Canada has done nothing. I think they responded very, very favorably last year to the Inflation Reduction Act. But it's hard to compete with the U.S. Treasury when you're Canada, so we have to get smart about the policies we implement.
So tactically speaking, you're a strategist in government relations. What does the industry need to do more of, better, or on the contrary, differently?
Well, I think, as a lobbyist, this isn't always the best advice, but in this instance it might be. We have to get louder. We have to get noisier and louder. I think we need to spend a lot of time in this city, in Ottawa, pressing our case and talking to anyone who will listen about the opportunities. Because, the federal government doesn't want companies to miss opportunities, right? But you got to get loud, and you have to be present on the ground in Ottawa here, pounding away, in order to get some policy changes and stuff like that. They had a good start last year with investment tax credits that they implemented, but more needs to be done.
So an event like this is one way to do this, but it only happens once a year. Could you give us maybe 2 or 3 tactics, even just naming them?
This is a great event. Government sees it. There's a lot of government officials here today. So this event is a very important event. Which is why we come every year.
Okay.
But you have to meet with them. You have to meet with the bureaucrats. You have to meet with elected officials, and you have to educate them on what the opportunity looks like. And that's a full-time job. And you have to be. It has to be sustained. You can't just have a couple of meetings and go away.
Right. I imagine digital media would be a part of it as well, like in between those meetings, like just keeping the pressure on, keeping the narrative alive 365 a year, right?
Absolutely. In our business, there's no medium that we don't use to get the message out. Digital, social, everything counts, and everybody watches it all now. So you've got to be everywhere. You got to be online. You got to be on social media. You have to be in their offices when they're sitting here, and you have to be in their constituency offices when they're back in their communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you a little bit about the future. You have a pretty unique vantage point. Again, you must be engaging with the government as well as the industry. How do you think this is going to unfold in the coming, let's say, 5 years?
Well, I've had the advantage of being in this space for a long time, and I did a lot of work in the biofuels space 20 years ago when, corn ethanol was starting out as an industry, and we were very frustrated back then. But we had, we were optimistic. And fast forward today, ethanol is in everyone's gas tank. I think it's the same scenario with the bioeconomy. We're making chemicals out of biomass now. We're making all kinds of things out of biomass. It's coming. We have to be patient but persistent.
So you do think that at one point there's some kind of a tipping point that basically all the efforts, all the work, because people here talk a lot about sort of real life work, not buzzwords, not not social media, but more.
Well, the old joke in our industry was like cellulose ethanol has been 2 to 5 years away for 30 years, right? But I think we're past the tipping point. I think with all of the movement that's happening now with ESG movement and with climate change, companies now are not ignoring climate change. They're not ignoring the possibilities that we can discover with the biomass. I think we've passed the tipping point, but there's a lot of work that has to get done. The policy environment isn't right yet. The investment dollars aren't all there yet, although there's billions flowing into the sector. I think we're past that point of no return. Now we just got to accelerate.
Exciting. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay.
Pleasure to speak with you.